Hello and welcome. I'm Jaime Ocon, and here's what happened this week. Guatemalan President Alejandro Jaime made a state visit to Taipei and gave a strong backing to Taiwan. That's good news for the Thai administration as it looks to shore up the country's remaining diplomatic relationships. Our reporter Rick Glowert was at the welcoming ceremony.
Here at the presidential office in the capital Taipei, President Taiwan has rolled out the red carpet for a rare visit from a head of state. Alejandro Jaime, President of Guatemala, is here to reinforce diplomatic ties as they're put under pressure from Beijing. Guatemala is one of just 13 countries to officially recognize Taiwan's sovereignty. Jaime referred to the country in Spanish as the Republic of Taiwan, rather than its official name, the Republic of China.
Hoy he vuelto con la misma empatía que se traduce en un sentido mensaje de solidaridad y compromiso con la soberanía e integridad territorial de la República de Taiwán.
China views Taiwan as one of its own provinces and says it has no right to act like a sovereign state. Any recognition of Taiwan as a country comes with repercussions from China. And as more countries flip to Beijing, Taiwan sees it as an increasingly important partner in the region.
也期待透过这一次的访问，我们两国不仅持续深化邦谊，也能够共同发掘更多的合作机会。
Beijing has slammed Giammatte's visit, urging Guatemala to switch ties to China, a major trading partner. Last month, Central American country Honduras switched recognition from Taipei to Beijing after failing to get $2.5 billion from Taiwan that it asked for in aid. China has been known to offer what's been called dollar diplomacy, large sums of investment and aid in exchange for cutting ties with Taiwan. The Guatemala delegation has said they are not here for free money from Taiwan, but are looking for long-term investments. Guatemala is now one of just 2 official Taiwanese allies in Central America. The pomp and pageantry here is part of keen diplomatic efforts to maintain that friendship and fend off Beijing's attempts to isolate Taiwan internationally. Rick Yi and Rick Glowert in Taipei for TaiwanPlus.
With tensions with China rising, Taiwan plans to give its police officers military-style combat readiness training. Interior Minister Lin Youtang has assured the public that military tactics will only be used during wartime. But some people are worried about the skills being used on citizens. Bing Wang has more.
Taiwan's police practice overpowering criminals at an MRT station in Taichung in central Taiwan. The country's police force is getting an upgrade. The authorities are looking to recruit 5,500 more officers and equip them with skills for anti-terrorism duties. This will include weapons training, grenade throwing, and combat skills. But there are fears the police will become a second military force and be used on citizens, a concern immediately addressed by authorities.
军人的训练是对敌，是致命性的训练，但警察训练是制服对方，将对方绳之以法，要符合法定的比例原则。
Taiwan's Interior Minister Lin Yongzhang also reassured the public.
警方不会去从事任何军事的一个工作跟行动，相关的一个这个规划跟训练，我想都是为了关键基础设施的一个防护。
Premier Chen Jianren echoed the Interior Minister's remarks.
都还在演绎的过程当中，绝对没有军事化的这样的一个揣测的必要。
But scholars have said that if a war with China were to happen, a highly trained police force would prove useful.
包括像治安维持，包括像关键基础设施的防护，包括像是要人的保护，可能会需要有另外的武装部队。
Despite concerns about the possibility of increased militarization of the police, what's clear is authorities feel the need to strengthen the country's security, so its forces are ready to keep people safe during peacetime and during war. Patrick Chen and Bing Wang for TaiwanPlus.
Well-known Taiwanese sculptor Zhu Ming died last weekend. The artist was known for his depictions of human figures, which have been displayed in several top museums around the world. Joyce Tseng looks back on Zhu's work and his legacy.
A group of bronze medal gentlemen in suits, gathering as if waiting at a red light in a drizzling city. Minimalist, blocky shapes like these are the signature style of famed Taiwanese sculptor Zhu Ming. Zhu was found dead in his Taipei home on Saturday in an apparent suicide. He was 85 years old. The Zhu Ming Museum, which is dedicated to his work, posted the artist's founding statement to Facebook on Monday. It's a message that describes how the pioneering artist worked hard for his art to make an impact. Zhu was born in northwestern Taiwan's Miaoli County and began honing his skills in wood carving when he was just 15. He went on to study under renowned Tokyo and Rome-trained Taiwanese sculptor Yang Yu. While living in New York, Zhu first gained international acclaim with his Living World series, a collection of bronze, steel, and wooden sculptures that captured people from all walks of life. Zhu was most famous for his depictions of human figures, earning praise for his reflective and observant eye. His works have toured around the world, including stops in New York, Paris, Berlin, and London. Zhu was driven to contribute to society through his art, which is why here in Taiwan, his works can even be appreciated in public spaces, like this metro station in New Taipei. These pieces are from Zhu's Tai Chi series. It merges the flowing movements of martial art and the robust forms used by the artist. In 2019, the prominent Cloud Gate Dance Theater performed a piece inspired by Zhu's Tai Chi arch at the Zhu Ming Museum in New Taipei. Contemporaries of Zhu praised the bold and unique styles that inhabited his work.
朱明老师呢，他是用大块面的去做切割，简洁有力，这是截然不同的一个表现方式。
Many have appreciated Zhu's work as a reflection of his thoughts on life and human nature. As many fans grieve the sculptor's sudden death, they take comfort in the way his art speaks about how people's spirits can endure. Andy Xue and Joyce Zhen for TaiwanPlus.
Taiwan's COVID task force held its last public meeting on Thursday. The group is disbanding after 3 years of handling the country's pandemic response. Eric Gao has this report.
那欢迎来参加最终场的记者会。
It's the end of an era. After more than 1,200 days, Taiwan's Pandemic Response Task Force is finally closing its doors. It's been holding regular press conferences since January 2020, helping keep the country informed about the latest developments during the COVID-19 outbreak. But now that the pandemic situation has stabilized, the group's work is done.
那我想，虽然指挥中心解编之后，那我们还是会持续的这个监测相关的疫情。
Studies suggest Taiwan's public appreciates the task force's efforts. A recent poll shows over 70% of Taiwanese think the country's pandemic response was better than in other places.
除了我们指挥中心以外，那还有政府其他机构以外，我想都是全民一起努力出来的这个成果。
Former Health Minister Chen Sizong, who headed the task force for more than 2 years, showed up on its final day. He said it was a lot of hard work to keep Taiwan's pandemic under control.
其实背后里面包含很多的决策，里面决策也有痛苦，也有辛苦，也有辛酸，但是都代表我们对人民的负责。
And now, with its mission complete, the team is able to celebrate a job well done. Rick E. and Eric Gao for TaiwanPlus.
Taking a look at what happened in the rest of the world, Chinese President Xi Jinping urged his Ukrainian counterpart to negotiate with Moscow in their first call since Russia invaded Ukraine. James Shader reports.
It's a phone call Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelenskyy has long wanted. Now, 14 months into war with Russia, he's finally spoken with his Chinese counterpart Xi Jinping. Their call comes as fighting in Ukraine's east remains fierce. Xi has not denounced Russia's invasion, but urged Zelenskyy to negotiate with Moscow. Ukraine's leader said peace could not come at the expense of territorial losses.
Є можливість застосувати політичний вплив Китаю, щоб повернути силу принципам і правилам, на яких має триматися мир. Україна та Китай, як і абсолютна більшість світу, однаково зацікавлені у міцності суверенітету націй та територіальній цілісності.
Beijing has sought to portray itself as a peacemaker in the year-old conflict. But Xi's state visit to Moscow last month stoked Western suspicions over China's stated impartiality. China has purchased record amounts of Russian gas since the war began, limiting the impact of Western sanctions on Moscow. Following the Xi-Zelenskyy call, China said it would send a special envoy to Ukraine for peace talks.
中方将坚持劝和促谈，为尽快止战停火、恢复和平做出自己的努力。
China said it won't add fuel to the fire of the conflict between Russia and Ukraine, but it will take more than words to assure Ukraine and the West that Beijing is a truly neutral party. Devon Tai and James Chater for TaiwanPlus.
China's foreign ministry has responded to Australia's recently published defense strategy. It says that Australia should not use China as an excuse to build up its military.
我想强调的是，中国始终奉行防御性的国防政策。我们致力于维护亚太和世界的和平稳定，不对任何国家构成威胁。我们希望一些国家扩张军力，不要拿中国做借口，不要炒作毫无根据的中国威胁论。
Australia's defense review is considered the country's biggest military shakeup since World War II. The country says its goal is to counter more aggressive actions by China. The new approach would include strengthening its long-range strike capabilities. Well, for more on the significance of Australia's new defense strategy, I spoke to Matthew Sussex, a security analyst at the Griffith Asia Institute based in Sydney.
What are the biggest takeaways from this new Australia defense review?
Well, I mean, it's been pitched as the biggest sea change in Australian defence policy since, about 80 years ago. And to an extent that is true, given that it, for the first time, it adopts a sort of anti-area access denial approach that previously Australian defence policy hasn't done. And it also pivots the role of the Army from being the organisation that will be sort of the tip of the spear in any conflict to one that plays, I think, much more a support role. This is much more of a maritime type of document. And that makes sense in that, there are plenty of ways to hurt Australia.
There's no mention of Taiwan, but it does highlight a growing aggression from China. Is Australia kind of looking towards what could happen in a potential conflict between Taiwan and China and adjusting its own defense strategy?
There's certainly plenty of discussion about Taiwan contingencies as having shaped the thinking around scenario building and that kind of thing with the promulgation of this document. I think it doesn't mention Taiwan for a very good reason, and that's because Australian defence pronouncements have, over the past few years, for whether this is right or wrong, they've been criticised for talking very loudly and carrying a small stick. I think this is a deliberate attempt to be a little bit more Delphic in the way that Australia goes about its defence policy. Now, certainly the way it's pitched is an evolution of the Defence of Australia approach that says, okay, it's going to be much more littoral, it's going to be much more maritime. Where it is silent is the extent to which Australia is going to do force projection into places like Taiwan Strait, places like South China Sea.
In this defense strategy, there are suggestions that Australia should prioritize long-range strike capabilities. What do you think about that?
I think in terms of Australia's own capabilities, it will continue to prioritise long-range missiles and the ability to, just the understanding that contemporary conflicts are going to be fought at range. And Australia is going to have the capability to provide some degree of denial in that type of scenario and have those types of capabilities itself. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the United States is going to be the solution or the panacea to all of Australia's strategic problems.
That was Matthew Sussex, a security analyst at the Griffith Asia Institute based in Sydney. Thank you for watching. Here's what happened. Remember to download the TaiwanPlus app for more stories from Taiwan and around the world. Finally, to help you enjoy your weekend, we leave you with the images of cute pups on Taiwan's metro. I'm Jaime Ocon. Take care and see you next week.